2024 was a year of conflict. "2024 was a year of hardship. "2024 was a year of protest. 2024 was a year of extremes. "2024 was a year of change.
The 47th President of the United States.
The former president's comeback will be complete with a win in Wisconsin, a state that he never...
2024 was a year of breakthroughs. 2024 was a year of hope.
To secure peace, prosperity, and hope for a greater future for our beloved nation.
Arise News was by your side every step of the way. Join us as we look back at 2024. What a year.
Now, 20 months into the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and Nigeria remains a country that has declared war against itself. Now, soldiers are trained to defend the country from external aggressions have been deployed across the nation. Now, while Nigerians are happy to be riding into the new year, we will all be glad if the journey is more peaceful. Now, welcome to a review of the security situation of the last 12 months. Crime and punishment, battling insecurity.
We begin from where the nation left off in 2023. Nigeria is still at war with insurgents in the northeast, a running battle that has lasted 15 years. However, measurable successes by security agencies and the dynamics of war have seen the epicenter shift to the northwest. In the northwest, a new military operation, Operation Fansanyama, has been launched and is actively on the heels of terrorist kingpin Bello Chugi and other bandit leaders. Still in the northwest, a new terrorist group, Lakurawa, has emerged. Initially founded as a self-defense group to fight criminals, the Lakurawa has now become increasingly radical, oppressive and opposed to regular state agencies. Now affiliated to extremist organizations operating in the Sahel region, there is fear the group is making inroads into other parts of northern Nigeria. The North Central remains volatile and highly susceptible to militia attacks and sectarian crisis. Clashes between pastoralist and sedentary farmers continued, though not as prominent as previous years. In the year in review, the battle to stop oil theft and increase the nation's oil production in the South-South continues. Nigeria struggles to meet its OPEC quota because of oil thieves. This has affected the nation's revenue. As the year comes to an end, reports from the authorities put oil production at 1.8 million barrels per day, much better than the figures of previous months, but a long way from what is expected from the continent's oil giant. The troubles in Nigeria's southeast have also defied military solutions. Over the years, socio-economic activities have been affected by the actions of secessionists. Economic activity as businesses are shut every Monday because of sit-at-home, an action often enforced by the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, meting out violence on those who resist and frequent attacks on security personnel and installation. The proscribed group, under the command of its diaspora leader Simon Ekpa, still carries out pockets of attacks to strike fear in the hearts of residents in the southeast. The ultimate goal: to free their leader Nnamdi Kanu and forcefully secede from Nigeria. Meanwhile, across the nation, kidnapping remains a regular phenomenon. Reports say ransom prices reached outrageous heights in 2024. As the year comes to an end, the National Bureau of Statistics, in its report, the Crime Experience and Security Perception Survey 2024, claims that 2.23 million Nigerians were kidnapped across the country, while 2.2 trillion naira was paid as ransom, an average amount of 2.7 million naira per incident. The survey shows that 65% of households affected by kidnapping were forced to pay ransom to secure the release of their loved ones. Of the estimated amount of 2.2 trillion naira payments to free victims, the Northwest reported the highest ransom paid with 1.2 trillion naira, while the Southeast was the least. The 2.2 trillion naira ransom payment is over 65% of Nigeria's 3.25 trillion naira for defense in 2024. The report also revealed a culture of silence. Despite its prevalence, only 36.3% of affected households reported the incidents to the police, reflecting a lack of confidence in law enforcement. The CESPS highlighted critical gaps in the response time of security agencies. Analysts say the statistics lifts the veil over the nation's security plight, providing empirical insight into a problem Nigerians perceive as the most critical in the year 2024. Many also describe the report as a paradox, which throws a spanner in the efforts of security operatives to end the menace of kidnapping. Their argument is that it does not take into consideration the achievements recorded by the armed forces and other security agencies towards ending insecurity. This is also the position of the National Security Advisor at the official inauguration of the multi-agency kidnap fusion cell in Abuja. Nuhu Ribadu says Nigerian security agencies recorded 80% success against kidnapping.
Let me commend the National Coordinator and the dedicated staff of the National Counterterrorism Center for the remarkable efforts. I'm immensely proud of the progress we have made so far. We don't even, advertise the work we are doing here, but I can assure you, those who are working, they are making a massive difference in our country today. Within the short period of time, less than 2 years, we can say we are probably getting to 80% of success. We do not talk about it. And it is all as a result of this dedication and commitment of Nigerians who have made themselves or sacrificed themselves for the good of all of us. Soldiers, security men, all. The best, the finest we have in our country. And they are the ones who you see here. Very unsung heroes. Many of them are in the bush, or bushes all over. Sacrificing, losing their lives to make this country a better place. To rescue it, to restore it, and take it back on track. For us to have normal life. And there are many of them, Nigerians, that people don't talk about. It's easy to say things, but you don't really understand how people like them, what they are going through to get this thing done. So, once again, on behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to thank all of you. Yes, Nigerians do not know what you are going through. They don't. And it's okay. We don't have to be beating our own thing. Just do the work.
Achievements presented at the December edition of the Strategic Communications Interagency Policy Committee, a committee made up of spokespersons of security agencies and the armed forces, shed more light on the perspectives raised by the NSA. The details include the combined efforts of military, police and other security forces led to the killing of 8,034 terrorists, the arrest of over 11,000 suspected terrorists, and a rescue of more than 7,500 kidnapped victims in 2024. That 10,200 weapons and over 220,000 ammunition were recovered from terrorists and other non-state actors within the referenced year. 30,303 suspected criminals were apprehended, while 1,438 stolen vehicles were recovered from criminals within the year. Security agencies also claim to have prevented oil theft valued at 57 billion naira, in the process raising the crude oil production to 1.8 million barrels per day. This aligns with the presidential mandates of eradicating crude oil theft in the Niger Delta region. They say the feat was made possible through the deployment of advanced military assets, including personnel, helicopters, and unmanned armed vehicles, conducting surveillance and interdiction across the nation.
Over the past 1 year, we have taken delivery of 12 advanced aircraft. This includes 2 King Air 360, 4 Diamond 62, 4 T-129 attack helicopters, 2 Agusta 109 Tracker helicopters, and before the end of this year, the service is also expecting additional deliveries of 2 T-129 attack helicopters and 1 King Air 360 aircraft. Next year, the NAF is also set to receive 10 Agusta 109 Tracker helicopters, 24 M346 aircraft, 3 Casa 295 aircraft, as well as 12 AH-1 Zulu attack helicopters. This makes a total of 64 brand new aircraft in about 3 years.
Also high up the list of achievements by security operatives is the prosecution and conviction of over 325 persons for various terrorism offenses in 2024. According to a statement from the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Office of the National Security Advisor, the feat was achieved in Phase 5 and Phase 6 trials held in the Kamji Detention Facility. In the Phase 5 trial in July, 143 cases were heard, with 125 convictions secured. During Phase 6, 237 cases were heard, with 200 convictions secured.
Between 2017 till this administration came in, which was about 8 years, about 500 were tried, either tried or convicted or acquitted. But with the coming of this administration, in 1 year, in less than 1 year, we have tried over 515. So you can imagine, by the end of this first time of this administration, we would have cleared maybe 3 or 4 times the number that was done in 8 years. So I think the Nigerians need to know how committed this administration is to human rights.
Within the last 1 year, the life of this administration, about 515 cases were disposed of, and over 800 clients, we call them clients, those that have served terms or were discharged and or acquitted at the various stages of trial, were moved to evacuated to Operation Safe Corridor Gombe for rehabilitation.
Those who are eligible for de-radicalization are those whom the criminal justice process has not found to have committed any offense. Those who have not committed offenses, but in the course of our counterinsurgency operations, they have been arrested. So if there is evidence and you follow through trial and you are convicted, you go and serve your sentences. So the whole talk about the Operation Safe Corridor, the DDRR process, is for those who the court has satisfied that they are not suitable for prison.
While the kinetic efforts of the military to end insurgency are well documented, correspondents say military action alone will not end this war. It is a proposition that the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, is also canvassing. General Musa has advocated and worked for a more holistic approach to tackling the insurgency. The CDS has also advocated and invested in non-kinetic measures aimed at sensitizing the public on the need to support the military.
It is also necessary to note that the actions of the military in ensuring Nigeria's national security accounts for only 30% or less of the overall efforts required, while the remaining 70% of maintaining Nigeria's peace and security rest on the socio-economic elements of the country. In a nutshell, national security entails the protection of our nation's core values, institutions, as well as citizens from both external and internal threats, while national interest involves the broad goals and objectives guiding our nation's actions and decisions. These critical concerns of our nation, particularly in the face of numerous security challenges, which tends to undermine the very fabric of our country and threatens the safety as well as security of our citizens. Military efforts to safeguard our nation's sovereignty could be enhanced through development journalism, which is a specialized form of journalism that focuses on the social, economic, and political development of a nation.
Despite strategies to double up on non-kinetic actions, the military is determined to pile the pressure on insurgents. This is part of the commitments pledged by the new Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olatunbosun Oluyede, upon assuming command. Oluyede assumed command as Nigeria's 24th Chief of Army Staff following the death of his predecessor, Lieutenant General Tarid Lagbaja. He was first appointed in acting capacity by President Bola Tinubu to temporarily fill the position during the indisposition of General Lagbaja. His appointment was later confirmed by the Senate, and he officially took office on 9 December 2024. Nigeria had been thrown into mourning at the untimely death of General Lagbaja, who passed away after a period of illness. The late Chief of Army Staff was laid to rest at the National Cemetery Abuja amid tears and tributes, ending an illustrious military career that spanned decades.
As President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, I worked closely with him. He was more than I could have hoped for. He was one of my best appointments. Lieutenant General Lagbaja embodied the finest ideas of a patriot and a soldier.
At the 2024 COAS Annual Conference, the first chaired by Lieutenant General Oluyede, he promised to improve the welfare of troops. He hopes to achieve this through training and other strategies, including a systematic rotation of troops in operational theaters.
As a fallout of our deliberations, the Nigerian Army will, in the coming months, invest more in modern technology to aid its training and ultimately fight its wars. Since training directly influences operational outcomes, the Army headquarters will promote realistic and focused training throughout the force and conduct a thorough review of the Army's specialized training and operations to achieve the desired victory. To this end, I have directed that our best be posted to our training schools to drive our professional military education and produce well-trained personnel with the requisite skill set to meet the demands of the current and future operations.
Some other security issues which made headlines during the year were the killings of 16 military personnel during a peacekeeping operation in Okwama Delta State. To the gruesome manner the soldiers were killed.
I consider it the most barbaric act any citizen or community can commit against the authority of the state. And I must place on record that a lot of restraints have been exercised so far in our search and recovery efforts for missing arms, ammunition, other equipment, and body parts. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Okwama killing has added to the care of the Nigerian Army and by extension, the Nigerian state, 10 widows, 3 of whom are 4, 5, and 8 months pregnant, 21 orphans, and many other dependents, which include parents.
Nigeria brokering agreements to keep Chad and Niger in the multinational joint task force, despite threats from the military-led governments to pull out of previous agreements. And the NSA, service chiefs, defense ministers survive cabinet shakeup. Analysts say despite noticeable lapses, this is a vote of confidence on the security architecture by the president. According to correspondents, the proliferation of weapons in the continent has been the biggest enabler of conflict.
We have to find a way of putting a stop to this. We must, if we are going to live in peace. If you want to recover our country and live in peace and stability, these type of things must get off, must remove. The worst human beings, I have always been feeling terrible. I've been in this job for too long, 40-something years of my life. The worst human being is a policeman or a soldier who will take arms from his own formations and sell it or hire it out for the bad people to come and kill his own colleagues. You are the worst human being. You are evil. You are worse than a kidnapper. You are worse than a Boko Haram. And it happens. It is happening. Sizable number of illicit weapons in our own midst belongs to originally from the government. People take it and sell it. People take it and hire it out. It's terrible. We have to stop it. We must fight these people. We must stop it.
The challenge posed by the proliferation of small arms and light weapons is one of the major threats to peace and security in Nigeria and the West African sub-region. Today's exercise is a crucial step in breaking this cycle. We will all be witnessing the destruction of over 2,400 illicit weapons, comprising a mix of unserviceable, decommissioned, and recovered arms. These weapons have been mopped up by the military, police, and other security agencies across the country. By permanently removing these arms from circulation, we reduce the risk they pose to our communities and send a clear message, and that is, Nigeria will not tolerate the illegal trafficking and possession of small arms and light weapons.
Also linked to the rise of insecurity is the menace of drug addiction. According to the United Nations Office for Drugs and Crime, the link between terrorism and other related crimes, such as drug trafficking, is evident. While drug trafficking has provided funding for insurgency, in some cases, drugs is the inducement needed to perpetuate crimes. To stem the tide, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) intensified operations and achieved significant progress in drug supply and demand reduction during the review period. The agency arrested 14,480 individuals, including 15 drug barons, secured 2,867 convictions, and seized 2.37 million kilograms of illicit drugs, with cannabis, tramadol, and codeine-based cough syrup being the most trafficked. Despite these achievements, the nation is still under the weight of heavy drug abuse and addiction, and more needed to be done to address it. Looking into the new year, as the scorecards for security agencies and other personnel responsible for keeping the country safe are analyzed, many are making a case for an improved welfare for defense and internal security, the police and other paramilitary agencies. For instance, they say the 3.23 trillion naira budget for defense needs to be improved, as a large chunk of defense allocation is consumed by foreign exchange and used to acquire military hardware. Thankfully, the federal government has proposed an increased budget of 49 trillion naira allocation to defense in 2025. While this might still not be sufficient due to foreign exchange differences, a judicious use will improve the situation. Experts have also called for more scrutiny on the budget activities of state governments. For instance, the Crime Experience and Security Perception Survey 2024 of the NBS further enlightens that most crimes are local, and thus more impact is needed in rural areas of the country, especially in areas of education, public enlightenment and poverty eradication to fight crime and keep the peace. Looking forward to the new year, the federal government is hoping that the economy will bounce back. However, without security, economic growth will remain an illusion.